There are many areas in Lord of the Rings Online which I am incredibly fond of, and the game as a whole, as you will know on this channel, has a really near and dear place in my heart. However, there's one place that I experienced fairly early on, and that a lot of people that of course play this game, watch this channel, will experience as well, and it really does change the tune of not just the game, but your outlook on what's going on around you, and that is Angmar. The area is just so dark and gloomy and barren, and nothing grows here, and everything that lives there shouldn't be alive, but it just is, and it's just overall in such a good way. It's a horrific experience. In fact, the location is so bad that you can't even progress through certain areas of Angmar until you've completed Volume 1, Book 6 of the Epic Quests, because you'll just die. It's like, okay, thanks. There are so many enemies that exist here that you just haven't seen before, not even remotely, and then even if you have, you've probably seen like the small variants of them, and yes, of course I'm talking about the spiders. Up until this point, if you think you've seen giant spiders, you have not seen giant spiders. There are things that exist here that are horrible, horrible. Not only that, you're dealing with Uruk-hai, you're dealing with mercenaries, you're dealing with two tribes that are virtually all but anything at war with each other, hate each other, and you kind of get to learn about the separation of the land, and it is not a place that you want to spend any time, and it makes you feel very uneasy. I don't want to spoil too much for you guys that haven't experienced anything to do with Angmar whatsoever, but there are areas that you're forced to explore within Angmar as and when you can that take you through a absolute horde of trolls, you know, trolls that have got 3 times the HP that you're normally used to dealing with. There is a settlement called, I believe it's Runendin, I don't know if I've absolutely slaughtered that, and that is a massive fortress that's interconnected that you need certain keys for by killing, by doing certain quests and then killing certain, well, they call them Kargul, but essentially Nazgul as well. There is just everything that exists here that that is completely foreign to you if you've just been questing and just minding your own business in the Shire or something. It's so drastic. It's not to mention, depending on how brave you want to be, you can actually venture into the Tower of the Witch King through one of the instances and see some of the atrocities that, I mean, really should just be buried away forever. Many areas of Angmar are absolutely littered with pools of like fetid acid water. There are leeches and worms, there's fire drakes, there's dragons, there's giant spiders. It's just like, what happened here? Like, did someone have a really bad day at the office and just go, do you know what? We're going to put it all in. Oh no, come on, like, be fair. They've just spent the last 10 hours questing in Bree. They've been delivering pies in the Shire, and now you want to go into the Witch King's Tower and fight enemies. Let's just do it, no problem. It's crazy. It's so good though. It's so good. We touched on it briefly earlier in this video, but one of the highlight moments for me was fighting Bogbareth. And for those of you that know, great, I'll leave it with you. And for those that don't know, I won't spoil it for you. But that took me multiple attempts to just like run up to it and just kind of, I guess, like dip my toe in the water of being like, I'm fine, I can do this, there's no problem. I'm gonna like try and get loads of people on board so we can just kill this thing quickly. But like, it was a horribly beautiful experience. And I really, honestly, I do really enjoy the way that the dynamics shifted when you enter Angmar, because you do get comfortable, you do get a bit like, oh okay, everything's fine, I'm overpowered, I can kill everything. And Angmar, I think, really does step up the difficulty, especially as well if you're not familiar with the book quests and the fact that you need to break the curse of the Watching Stones before you can cross. That has actually thrown so many people off. I know plenty of people that I've seen in the forums that have actually quit the game at this point because they just couldn't work out where to go. So I think that's really interesting that you actually got to use your noodle a little bit. Another huge highlight for me when questing through Angmar was entering the instance, the Halls of Night, I believe it's called. And again, don't want to spoil too much, but basically you enter this instance and you're transported into this like dream state world, but it's very like nightmarish, and you're having to fight like a physical rendition of a nightmare, and it's really cool. The color palette, the tone, the setting around you. It's like, it makes you feel so far from home. It's crazy. Depending on also like whereabouts you are in Angmar and what server you're playing on, there are so many roving legendary enemies, and I'm pretty sure, I mean, for the ones that I saw were at least level 100, and you know, you're like walking past them just in the wild, and you're like, wow, like these could just destroy me, and you feel like so futile and fragile. That's not to mention that also you're dealing with the dread mechanic as well. I feel like Angmar is really where it throws you into the dread mechanic with all the watching stones. And I mean, I'm playing on the fearless landscape difficulty right now, so I'm also dealing with the fact that I'm being nuked by Sauron every moment, so there is that as well. Some of the interiors as well of Angmar are really impressive. There's quite a few settlements that you go to that are actually located within cut out and mined out caves that are all sort of woven and interconnected, and it's a real change of pace and change of scenery to what you're used to with loads of really nice built up structures and towns. You can tell that a lot of these people and a lot of these NPCs, they're just making the best of a bad situation. And that, in truth, that is exactly what Angmar is. It is the best of a bad situation. It's the worst of the worst, but what can we do with the worst, if that makes sense? I think it really sets the tone when the first camp that you come across, the chieftain and a lot of the villagers as well, they just don't trust you. They don't like outsiders. They've fended for themselves for X amount of years, and you actually have to go through quite a few quests just to win people over, and you really do feel that sense of like camaraderie once you've done those quests, and people talk to you slightly differently when you interact with them. But this really is a place of just no love, no honor. This is like every man for himself. So yeah, I kind of just wanted to put on video some of my thoughts and feelings as I'm approaching these areas, or have done in the past, and see what you guys think. You know, what was your experience with Angmar or other locations when you first entered it? That would be really cool to hear. As always, if you enjoyed this sort of video, do like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.